Okay. First of all, I say good evening to everyone, and thank you so much for coming to Hopkins Park Pool Session tonight. This work session will be conducted by Commissioner Hamilton. He will be the lead on this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Lindsay. How's everyone doing tonight? That's good. That's good. It's so good to see everyone here tonight so that we can work through this work session. I just want to let you know that we appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to come here this evening. We know that Hopkins Park Pool is near and dear to you all. And so what we wanted to do is create this avenue or this venue tonight so that you can have input on the pool. This is an opportunity for us to see where we're trying to go. Tonight, we'll have designers, SSOE, that will come before you, and they will tell you some of the studies that they found as it relates to the Hopkins Park Pool. But this is so that we can try to get to a resolution. I know that we all have questions that would like to be answered. They will answer your questions to the best of their ability, but this is so that we can try to get to a place where we can give our representatives, our delegation, our county some information. So this is the way that I posed it earlier when I was speaking with someone. When you're building a house, you have to start at the foundation. For us tonight, this is our foundation. This is us making one step closer to making sure that we can try and achieve a pool here in Hopkins. I just want to take the time and thank Representative Johnson for being here tonight. We have Senator Jackson that is walking in here. He's here with us tonight. And I really want to thank all of you for taking the time out to come. This lets me know that this pool means something to you. And so tonight, we will try to answer your questions to the best of our abilities, but I want to be clear. This is so that we can move forward. And I understand, I spoke with our chairman earlier today, and he sends his regards. He could not make it tonight. But he wanted you to know that we apologize for what happened before. I apologize for what happened before. But we want to make sure that we are moving towards the future. So thank you so much for your time. I'm going to have our interim director come before you, Ms. Williams. She's going to introduce SSOE, and we have two representatives that's going to try to give you as much information that they can about Hopkins Park Pool, after which they will take and field a few questions. Thank you so much for your time. And I hope that you have a great night.
Good evening, everyone. And again, thank you for coming out tonight. We know that this is a very important meeting, and we would love to have all of your input. And we appreciate our consultants who have worked with us a couple of years ago in 2021 to get a feasibility study done for Hopkins Park Pool. Several of our pools that we own for RCRC was done, but this is one that we're here discussing tonight. We have George Dennis and Adrian Gillis, who is with SSOE, and they're going to come and do a presentation to you for Hopkins Pool, what we had done previously for a feasibility study, and then also afterwards we'll have some discussion and be able to hear your input. Afterwards, we have vision boards over to the side over here, showing the 2021 updates when we previously came for the aquatics feasibility study. And at the end, we will also be giving you a couple of dots just to go by. And there are 8 areas on the boards where you can place your dot that show more interest in what you would like to see at the pool. Okay. So right now, I'm going to turn it over to George and Adrian.
All right, thank you. It's great to be here tonight. It's great to see you all come out in support of Hopkins Park Pool. It's great to have community that comes together, that sees the value that this pool has for the Hopkins community. And myself and Adrian over here, we are privileged to be able to work for the Richland County Recreation Commission and help you set a vision and reimagine what Hopkins Park can be for the future of this community. So as you heard, we have some boards over here, and so we'd like you to start thinking about what you would like to see at Hopkins Park Pool within the future. But we wanted to spend just a couple of minutes talking about our previous work in 2021. We had a meeting in this very gym. Some of you might have been here. It was a great meeting where we heard lots of community feedback. And earlier in 2021, we had spent some time looking at Hopkins Park Pool and assessing its condition, and essentially found that it had exceeded its useful physical lifespan. And we have some pictures over here on the board to the left that you can just see some of the cracks in the pool shell, like you can see in the top right over here. And the building was not ADA accessible. And we usually assign a lifespan of about 30 to 35, maybe 40 years to an outdoor pool. And I am about to be 46, and this pool was built a couple of years before I was born. And so it made it to its 40th anniversary, and that's about what we see. And so that was the first thing we wanted to touch on, was just some of the reasons why it was not able to open back up. But we also heard some great feedback the last time that we were here. We heard that Hopkins Pool should include amenities for all user groups, that it should benefit current and future residents of this community, that the Richland County Recreation Commission needs to keep Hopkins Park Pool on the map. And also, we heard that Hopkins Pool just needs programs for the community. And so we would still love to hear some more feedback. That was just a little snapshot of some of the feedback that we heard back in 2021. We also heard a phrase that I have still been using to this day from somebody that was here. They said that we are a high-touch community, not necessarily a high-tech community. And so that's one of the reasons that we wanted to get everybody together in the gym tonight, to be able to talk face-to-face and not just put something out on a survey on the internet. And the other thing that we did was, when we were re-envisioning what Hopkins Park Pool could look like, we came up with a concept and a possible new location. Nothing is set in stone. This was just some ideas that we had come up with, where we showed a possible new parking lot here at the front of the park where you turned in. We showed a new outdoor pool that had a couple of lap lanes. It had a kids area with a beach entry, and then it had a couple of small water slides. And these are some amenities that we see that can be incorporated into newer modern aquatic facilities. We also wanted to make sure that there was plenty of space to be able to teach swim lessons, to be able to have water fitness classes, to be able to have community get-togethers. A family could come and use a shade pavilion and celebrate a birthday. And so we tried to incorporate all of those things, because we really saw and heard from you all that Hopkins Park Pool is a community asset. It's a place for togetherness. It's a place to recreate. It's a place to stay fit and healthy, and keep the children active and teach them how to swim. And so we try to incorporate all of those amenities into our initial concept during our study. And that concept is on the right side of the first board over here that we'll get up and look at here in just a little bit. We also wanted to just spend some time visioning and reimagining what types of amenities could be incorporated into Hopkins Park Pool. Since it has been a couple of years since we did our initial study, we usually find that people will use an outdoor aquatic facility for one of four primary reasons, the biggest of which is recreation. Most people get their first exposure to the water through an outdoor pool during the summertime. And so that's why communities value outdoor swimming pools, within their recreation system. We also know that competition, and maybe it's a summer swim team, is something that can be offered at a outdoor seasonal swimming pool. Then swimming lessons, as we mentioned, just the importance of getting children into the water at an early age and teaching them how to swim, but then also being able to teach adults that never had that opportunity to swim is just as important. And then lastly, wellness and therapy, whether it's water walking or water fitness classes or fitness lap swim. There are just so many avenues and programs that can be offered at an outdoor swimming pool to keep people healthy and keep people moving. And so there's a lot of different features that are out there, and we have some of those on the boards over here, from having that zero beach entry to lap lanes to possible water slides or a little family slide. I got some bigger pictures here, some areas that just make it easy for children to access the water, for moms and dads to keep an eye on their kids, like a designated children's area like you see here that might have some sprays and a play feature in it. Maybe it's a splash pad that's just a wet deck that's adjacent to the pool that's great for the younger kids that have not learned how to swim yet. Maybe it could be, a lap pool, so you have areas for swimming lessons, like to be able to put kids on these steps, but then also have a little kids area, and then maybe a nice water slide tower adjacent to the pool. Or it could just be that big zero beach entry that has, a great area for kids to play, but also it makes it easy to access and enter the water for adults that maybe have trouble walking downstairs or using a pool ladder. Sometimes we'll incorporate, a small lazy river into a facility like this. That's not only a great recreational activity, but it can also be a fitness and wellness activity. A lot of the facilities that we design some moving water in, they'll have fitness classes for adults where they have to walk against the current, and they do that in the morning time before the facility opens up within the afternoon. As I mentioned, water slides can be very popular, and they can be pretty small and pretty and still pretty fun. You see here, this is probably about a 16-foot water slide tower, so it would reach to about the top of the backboards that you see, maybe a little bit taller than that around the gym tonight. But just a nice way to keep kids active and engaged in the park. And it can, sit something that's adjacent to a community center like you have here. A lot of the pools that we design are, directly adjacent to a recreation system community center. It could be an activity pool where you can have young generations and old generations that are all together at the same time. It could be a floatable crossing activity where you can see the kids lined up about 5 to 10 people deep, where they stay active by being challenged by walking across the different floatables and holding on to the net above. Something that my kids love to do when we go to the park. And then just as important as some of those recreational amenities is open water space and being able to offer aquatic programs that can change lives and transform your community by teaching kids how to swim, by teaching kids, proper water safety skills with life jackets. Maybe it's an exercise class for persons with special needs, like you see there on the left. And so we really like to make sure that we have just plenty of open water space as well, so that you can offer these types of programs to your community. And so what we would like to do now is we have a microphone there in the center of the seats, and we would love to hear your feedback and your vision. And I put some questions up on the slide here just to consider, for you to kind of jog your imagination as we reimagine what Hopkins Park Pool could look like. What are the possibilities that exist for Hopkins Park Pool? What types of challenges do you see that might occur as the county goes into this process? What types of aquatic programs would you like to see offered at Hopkins Park Pool? And then what specific amenities are needed and not needed at the pool to support your vision? And as Ms. Williams mentioned, we have some boards over here. We will have some voting exercises here in just a little bit, where we really love to hear from you and hear your feedback. And so if you wouldn't mind, if you could just one at a time walk up to the microphone in the center, and we would love to hear your feedback, or if you have questions for us or for the commission, we would love to answer any questions that you may have.
How y'all doing? Thank you for that presentation. It was nice. You gave us a lot of opportunities and possibilities. That's good. We like that. As far as I'm concerned, we like to have them all. And on top of that, if you can make it an indoor pool, that would be even better. But for what I understand, as far as this community, we have a lot of growing going on. I don't know if you've been around, but we've got several housing developments that's already been developed and some in development. So that means more people are moving into this area. So this pool really is a very important part of this community. We really need to have it for a lot of reasons. Even the senior citizens, we had a very good exercise program for senior citizens going on down there. A lot of interaction and a lot of participation. So it can cover a lot of areas for us, from the little kids to us, the senior citizens. So we hope that you guys work something out, get the money that we need. I'm not familiar with the processes that you guys have to go through. I know you guys have a lot on your plate. But we need to have some concrete answers, or either just give us the information we need on how you go about getting this done. Not just say, well, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're checking it. No, we need a little bit more than that. Okay? But thank you for the presentation, and it was really nice. And we definitely got a lot of options to consider. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. I believe that you probably asked the question that most of everyone here tonight wants to know. Well, this is the first step. And so once we go through this step, what George and his committee and their company would do is they would make a design. And when they make that design, they give us an estimate or a roundabout number of how much things would cost. And then that's when we can begin the process to go to our legislators, to our delegation, to our leaders that's here tonight, and let them know what we're looking at. So this is actually the first step in that process to get you all approved. Now, I want to be very honest and transparent. I cannot guarantee anything. And I want to be open with you all, because I don't want anyone to leave under the assumption that I'm saying we're getting approved. But this is the first step to us moving towards that goal. I would love for us to have a pool in Hopkins. My children are in Hopkins. My wife learned to swim in Hopkins Park Pool with Mr. David. And so I understand how important it is to all of the residents here and Richland County to make sure that we have a pool. But this is actually the first step in us going towards that goal.
So I just want to echo the comments. Thank you for at least coming out to our community to hear our concerns and our views. I had an opportunity just a few minutes ago to visit with Harold Goodman, who is a head coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And his brother was a star football player on 2 NFL Super Bowl teams. And I mentioned that I was coming here. And he shared with me that his grandmother donated the land for Hopkins Park. And my point to you is that Richland County has been talking about a Lower Richland tourism plan. And that tourism plan is beckoned or hearkened on recreational, historical, and cultural tourism. So when you think about recreation, you think about a pool. When you think about Rebecca Goodwin, you think about history. When you think about culture, you're thinking about community. I hope that you're taking those things into consideration when you're thinking about what's best for this community. The fact that this community, we deserve the recognition of a recreational facility that is in line with what the county is proposing. We deserve a recreational, a cultural facility that recognizes the culture of this community. We deserve a historical beacon in this community that really tells the story of the possibility of what exists. Rebecca Goodwin donating the land, her grandsons having 4, Harold having 4 Super Bowls, Jonathan having 2 Super Bowls. There's a great culture and a great history and a great need. So as you're thinking about who gets what allocation of resources, I want you to keep that in mind, because sometimes we forget the real reason that we're here and the opportunities that we have to move forward. So as you're thinking about the allocation of resources, this community needs some resources, and we appreciate your consideration.
I am somewhat disappointed because I thought we would pass this over here, coming here with the ideas of what we need. I was told at the last board meeting, some of you were there with me, that we were getting a pool. And Mr. Marley quoted and said, get the money for the pool. What I don't want this to turn into is a meeting about what we want to hear. We need some action. I thought we were coming here and they were told, I don't know whether Ms. Williams did her homework, but they told Ms. Williams to present within 10 or 15 days something about how much it's going to cost to have this pool built. I'm thinking we come here to look at some plans for us to pick out what we want, but basically we're here talking about something that happened or something y'all talk about in 21. It's 23 now, so you mean to tell me we're going to still be talking 26? What we want to know in this Hopkins community is we're going to get a pool, which is, I was thinking, supposed to be presented to us today. We want to know when are we going to get the pool, what type of pool we're going to get, and when they're going to start. We want to hear anything about, as a matter of fact, is there anything being said about a pool being built somewhere else other than Hopkins Park? That's something the community want to know also. Do y'all have plans of building a pool somewhere else other than down in Hopkins Park? Can anybody answer that question for me?
How you doing, Mr. Davis?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
I have not, and I'm speaking for myself. I don't know if any other commissioners have, but I have not heard of any other pool being built anywhere in Richland County. And I understand your question and your concerns, but this is the first step to us being able to get a pool in Hopkins. We have to know how much it costs. But once we find out how much it costs, like you alluded to Mr. Mobley saying, he said we have to get the money. And so with everyone being here, you have the opportunity to get your input. As you see the displays on the side, they have stickers for you to go to each one of those and tell us what you would like to see at your pool. And we did this with this vision in mind for the community to be able to have input in the design of the pool. So when we thought about this meeting tonight, we thought of it with the community in mind to try to include you in the vision that you would like to see here in the Hopkins community.
Yes, sir. I understand that also, Mr. Jacobs. But what we want to know is, well, let me ask this question. Is there any money allocated for this pool to be built by repaying all those taxes and whatnot? Because what I'm seeing is we paying all those taxes, and the taxes is actually, our money is actually going up the street and not coming to Hopkins. So therefore, it should be enough money somewhere to get any one of these pools we won't build. So what I'm trying to figure out is why we still at the same level that we were at when y'all were talking about it in 21. All I want to know is that these are the things that we need to know. is there any money left aside, or if there's any money to get into these pools built? You just don't want to come in and talk about it and see how pretty it is and all of that. That's all good and dandy. But what we want to know is there is any money to have these pools built, the pool that we want built, and the ones that I think we need to have built is the one that's going to, have something for the seniors to do, like the one in Greenview. I'm just going to throw that out there. Just like the one in Greenview. We want that with the water slide and all the other stuff. Because Hopkins was the first park down here other than Trinum Road Park. And for them just to come here and just snatch it all away from us, that's not fair. And we paying taxes. So what we want to know today is there any money to get this pool built that we come up to pick out, whatever pool we pick out to get built, when it's going to start, not, just sugarcoat and just bringing things to us that we want to hear. I need, we as a community, we want action. We at this point now, we need some action. And I need the action. Miss Newton here, or Miss English anyway now.
Miss Newton did reach out and say she would not be able to make it, but we did make
But see, that's the problem that I have. We ain't got nobody to represent us, man.
I understand.
We ain't got nobody to represent us. We vote them in to come here and represent us, and they wasn't here when they was taking the pool away. They're not here to help us keep the pool. So Hopkins, that's something y'all need to think about. You understand me? Because I done call on them. And we gonna vote them to represent us, man. And we up here now, we don't have nobody to represent us in this type of, and I'm kind of disappointed in the board, especially Mr. What's his name, Mr. Anderson. Where all our board members at?
I got you.
But they want us to come all the way up to, what is it, Park Lane. The whole board will line up at Park Lane. Now we not in Hopkins where the problem, man. We only have, 3 board members?
I understand.
That don't make no sense. Somebody tell us something. We don't want these sugarcoat meetings. We don't have enough of them.
Well, I appreciate you, Mr. Davis, and I appreciate your comments and your concerns. We're definitely working to it. As far as the money is concerned, that's something that we're going to have to get with our director and our CFO about.
She's supposed to know that by now because she had enough money to close it down. You understand?
I hear you. This is what I want to do, Mr. Davis, because I understand all of your concerns, and I have the same sentiments that you have as far as the pool getting done. As I stated earlier, I have children, I have mentees, I have kids that are in this community that I tutor every day and I work with every day. So I understand the need for the pool, but I want to make sure that we are moving in a forward direction. And I understand all of the concerns that you have, some of which I wasn't here, some of which I cannot control, but I want to make sure that we are moving towards a common goal. And the common goal is to try and make sure that we get you a pool in this area. I hear everything you're saying. I've seen Greenview's pool. It's amazing. And we want to make sure that we have something here for our senior citizens, and we want to make sure that we have something for the complete family and our children as well. What I will say is that there is a comment box, and there is notes and paper and pen back there where you can put all your comments or what you would like to see, as well as the boards in the back. SSOE will put everything into a spreadsheet, George, and they will get all of that information to us to make sure that we keep what you want in mind as we design this pool. But I want to really be honest. This is us working with the community in mind to try to move forward to a common goal.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Emma. Well, let me ask you one question before I sit down. Will there be a pool built in Hopkins? I just need the answer.
I'm in favor, and I just can be honest with you. I'm in favor of a pool, but I don't want to promise you anything and have to renege.
Well, who can answer that question? Are we going to lose our pool or are we going to get a pool? Is it somebody in this house that can answer that particular question?
That's what we're working towards tonight, Mr. Davis. That's what we're working towards tonight, Mr. Davis. I want to be honest with you. Okay?
All right, good enough.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Davis, I told them last week don't come down here unless they got some money, unless they're going to build y'all a pool. I told them it was a waste of time. So they came anyway. We got a recently voted in chair. He ain't even here. Correct. We ain't even got a quorum for a board meeting. So you know if we discombobulated, you know how we going to help y'all. We ain't even right. You're right. And that's my point. And I told them, don't go down to Hopkins unless you got the money for the pool and you're going to build them a pool.
Right.
They wouldn't listen to me. I meant to say that I just got this letter from Miss Dr. Yvonne P. Brown. She sent all the board members a letter concerning this pool. And this letter is off the chain. It's too much to read right now. But this letter off the chain. I just got it. She sent this letter to the Recreation Mission June 19th, 23, in June. I just got it. It came to my home in the mail. I just got it. So I'm gonna put it in the record at the next board meeting. I'm gonna introduce it in the record so it'll be in the record.
Good evening, everyone. And I didn't want to start off with this suggestion, but I will piggybacking off Commissioner Mobley. If you can't get it right, it appears you may need a mediator. And I believe that may be for the board, except for the commissioner's board itself. Based upon what we see, you may want to get a mediator in if you can't figure out things among yourself, and you bring them to us in front of the community. So that's my suggestion first. The second thing is, we're talking about money, and I didn't want to get up here and get into the money thing, because this is supposed to be a work meeting, as you had mentioned, but let's talk a little bit about 2017 and the $50 million recreation bond that was passed. And that bond, is my understanding, was passed to upgrade the facilities, purchase new land, and facilitate new facilities. You're supposed to be in phase 3 of it right now. If the community doesn't know, I'm telling you. So my question to the commissioner board is, where are we in that phase 3? And why have you not allocated any of those monies toward Hopkins Park Pool if it was supposed to be for an upgrade of existing facilities? We shouldn't be here talking about because it's deflating to the community that we won't have a pool when we have a pool sitting a half a mile back that is already there. Our only ask is that you be good stewards. You're on the board, you're charged with being good stewards of what we already have. So it should be progression on whether we're renovating it, upgrading it, replacing it, adding to it, and just that. We shouldn't be here talking about the fact that half the board is not present. I don't know why they aren't. Maybe they're not present because of the area we live in. So I have a problem with that. They should have been present. If I could take my time to go to Park Lane Road, they should be able to come to Hopkins. Perception is everything, unfortunately. So you asked me to come up and ask you what you would want coming off of his speech on what you're presenting here. And the first thing you need to take care of is to make sure everyone is inclusive in the community, making that pool ADA accessible. People have gotten up at your other meetings and told you we are behind the mark, we are behind the times for our disabled and those that want access to amenities. So all of the other stuff we're talking about, money and all of that, we should be well past that because we've got so much growth going on around us, but we're not prepared for it because first the board is arguing. I've seen it on 3 occasions. So my suggestion is, and I'm going to sit down, get a mediator for the board. You don't know one, I'll mediate for you. Second thing is, we should have plans for what the pool will be. So I hope this progressing when we leave, everyone put your desires up here on the board. The next meeting should be a planning meeting. And then the other point is, if you all don't know, you lost your accreditation, right? It's my understanding that you have lost your accreditation. So I'm concerned about the funding that you may be able to receive. which means you got to go to our state officials. But our issue here tonight is there was a bond referendum in place. I feel, and I know the community feels like we may have been overlooked. I don't know where all the other pools are. I'm sure they're in the same state we are, but we're here tonight to address this pool that for this past season has not been in use. How many seasons are we gonna let it go by? How long is it gonna take for all of this projection to take place? So tonight, I'm encouraging everyone behind me, put your desires on the board so that we can move along. And then I'd like a question about where's the funding in phase 3 of the bond referendum that you all have? How much money will you allocate towards Hopkins Park 2? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Everything that I was about to say or wanted to say has been said. So I'm going to say this. First of all, thank you. What you should have told them was, you better ask somebody about them folks down there in Little Richmond. Maybe that would have helped. This is my first meeting about the pool. Had no idea any of this was going on until I saw it on the news. Then the word started getting around on the social media platform. But what I do know is, all the while I was preparing for my retirement, you keep saying, we can't promise you a pool. We're going to get you a pool. We already got a pool. The whole time I was planning for my retirement, part of my plan was to be in that pool. 2 springs, I'm back and forth down here because the pool shut for repairs. Now you're telling us it's got to go because it can't be repaired, and we don't know if we're going to get your pool. We got a pool. Dig it up, replace it, brand new, with the money that has been allocated or shall be allocated. And when you guys go back to the drawing board and think about all of that stuff you've drawn right there, you make sure before you make your final plans that some folks from this community has approved that plan. Nothing about us without us. When it comes down to when you're gonna get that pool back there on legacy land. And I just found that out tonight. I had not a clue. But that's our pool. And it's not fair in my retirement that I've got to go to Maxie Gregg, or I've got to drive to Drew Park, or I've got to drive to Eastover when I can come down here 6 miles away, run my arthritis legs through that water, get out of that water, go back home, take me a shower, and then go to Columbia because I want to. It's not fair. Get it right. Tell them. Go ask somebody about them folks down there in Lower Richmond, because we already see the okie doke coming, and the folks already told you, not this time.
Thank you.
All right, good evening. I'm not here to grandstand, I'm here to shake hands. I just got off the phone with somebody this afternoon that grew up in that park, that went to USC and majored in exercise science. He's a Hopkins native. He is now a trainer with the Las Vegas Raiders, homegrown. He grew up in this park. So this park has good impact of what it does. So if you look at the numbers, the attendance at this park is relatively low compared to the other parks. My concern is that, where's your project manager at? Because this board has been assembled for a number of years. We've been through 2 directors. Ms. Jacobs, thank you for shutting it down. Thank you. So my point simply is this. I'm sorry if I got your name wrong. My point is simply this. If you have a project manager to look at this new design, look at the rate of people that are coming down here. Will this new design actually get more people in cruise? Fine. I don't know that. But that's things you need to look at. Where's the water going? Nobody's talked about that. Most of these waters around here are open well water, deep well waters. Where's that chemical water going? Has DHEC reported on that? Nobody's talking about that. So the other thing I want to talk about, if we're going to get a new pool in this area, why not get a pool here at Hopkins? But why not put one at the adult center on Gardens Ferry Road? You got the land. Land is already there. Let's go with the indoor pool. Because if our senior citizens are going to do aerobics, they're going to do other activities, and my kids are going to learn how to swim, it needs to be indoors. Outdoor pools not going to last forever. And whenever you get that project manager, make sure we build the materials that will last, because the earth is going to shift. See, these are the technical things people are not talking about. Make sure you get a construction manager that knows what they're doing. And number two, when you do that, when you get those electrical pumps, make sure those electrical pumps are continuous. They have backup generators, because pool, that's a lot of water, a lot of body that needs to be moved by those generators. See, those are things people are talking about. So now, Senator Jackson, Senator Johnson, we've got state here. Where's the funding coming from the federal government? We're in the 6th congressional district. Is it coming? I don't know. You're talking about it, who knows? But the simple fact is that you get your expertise together, forget all about the back and forth. Get it done. Get your people in there, know what the hell they're doing. Because you can say this, and that. Because if I'm gonna hire an electrician to build a house, it's gonna fall down. We don't want the Pinto, I want the Cadillac. So we're gonna get this funding, build something for Hopkins, get something at the adult activity center, because I shouldn't have to drive from where I'm at down to Drew Weldon Center to get my kids to swim. And we shouldn't have to see another kid go down the Water River Bridge getting drowned. Look at the distance from Ambulance, from Sumter to Richland County. How many times have we seen people drown? So I'll volunteer to be on that committee, that construction committee. I'll do it. But you gotta get your people in places. Forget all the politics. Get the people in places that what they do. That's it. That's all I want to say.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Helen Taylor Bradley. I understand where you are today as board members, because I once served as a board member. And all of the years since I left the board, we have been seeing nothing come to Little Richland in the form of recreation. We have people sitting on the board from Hopkins that make comments. Them ain't my people down there. Well, if you live in Hopkins and you ain't satisfied, you need to move. And what we want is an indoor pool right here in Hopkins on this piece of land, not Garner Ferry. You can do whatever you want at that adult activity center, but we deserve to be first, because we've been here and overlooked for years. And we have the Senate here right now of the ladies who gave the property. And they don't know that I'm calling them out, and I hope they don't mind. But I am happy to see that they're there, because this property was once theirs. You mind me calling them out? Yeah, you are here. I'm sure that Ms. Goodwin would be extremely proud of them still pushing to make sure that this park survives. Not only with the gymnasium, the pool here. We want an indoor pool that we can use year round. We don't want anything that we got to shut down in the fall or open back up in the spring. Give us what we deserve. Our tax dollars we have been paying them for years. We don't ask them any questions when we go up there to pay the taxes. If they don't tell us, you don't have to pay the taxes, because you come from Lower Richland. We pay, we want. We're only asking for what we deserve. Give us back what we've given you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let me say this. I appreciate each person that got up and stood at that mic tonight, said how they feel, that spoke from their heart deeply. As I've stated before, I'm a resident of Hopkins. I live in Hopkins. So I want to see us get a pool. But I do want to make sure that I'm very clear. By us being in this room tonight and us creating input and saying what we want to see and get the designs. I've heard a lot of people say, we talking about the money, we got to get the money. This is how we get to the money. This is how we begin the process of finding funding to create or build a pool in Hopkins. We have to have a design by our designers so they can give us an estimate so that we can go to delegation and say, this is how much the pool will cost. Before we created anything, before we made a design on our own, we thought it best to include Hopkins in that picture. We thought it best to have our residents give their ideas, give their concerns, give what they would like to see. So when we go back to the drawing board, we can tell them how much it would cost so that they can tell us where to go from there. So I understand all of the concerns as far as the money. I understand all the get it right between the board. I understand all of them. And I concur with you. But this is us trying to include Hopkins, trying to make it where it's accessible, where you don't have to drive to Park Lane. This is us trying to work together to get what we need here in Hopkins. But we have to start here. Now, we could have did it on our own, but I'm sure most people would say, why didn't we ask anybody in the community? Why didn't you ask the community concerns? Why didn't we find out what they want? So we are here together to find out what you want so we can take it to our senator, so we can take it to our representative and those people that need to hear this is what the cost is. What can we do? Can you give us the money? Can you find the money? Can we get a pool in Hopkins? We have to start here. So I understand everyone's concern.
They can answer that question now.
We don't have a number to give them. We don't have a number to give them. And if we're gonna do things as a community, we have to do it decent and in order. Like I said, I agree with a lot of what was said tonight. But if we're gonna do it, we have to be on the same page. We have to move together. We have some people talking about Garnish Fair Activity Center, and we're talking about Hopkins right now. I don't think that they are bad ideas, but we're focused on trying to get you all what you need down here right now. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Mr. James Brown. I'm the former executive director of Richmond County Recreation Commission. I got word that they was having this meeting down here. I was concerned because when I was here as executive director, we had the same problem. But the reason I'm here is one of the reasons that Richmond County Recreation Commission is not ran by 7 board members anymore. It's ran by 4 board members. The politicians and the politics. And the young lady, Ms. Dungella Lindsay, who I had the opportunity to speak to when I was going through my trials and tribulations, I wanted to speak to her, and we spoke on a few occasions. And I would say to her face, I'm disappointed because she's a liar.
No, don't do that. Hey, don't do that.
And
Oh. That's not what you think.
No.
Not what you think about.
What I'm saying.
Trust me, I know what's going on.
But the thing is this.
You need to just get with somebody else.
And what I'm saying is,
You got to
they sit and tell you. They sit and tell us. But the reason why David is so upset is because he was the one who went to the FBI. That's what this is. Okay, so stop your fight.
Listen, everybody. Hold on, Mr. Brown. Hold on, Mr. Representative Johnson. Hold on, Mr. Brown.
Okay, but I tell you what, since y'all don't want me to speak, I never had a platform to speak, and I can understand Dad being upset. And I was,
You can speak just like everybody else.
no. What I'm saying is,
You can speak just like everybody else. All right. Let him speak.
Listen.
You know what? No. Since you don't want me to speak, I won't speak because see, you were the one.
Listen.
When you was on.
Gentlemen.
No.
Hey, let's bring this to order. Hey, listen. We're gonna close the meeting. I need to speak.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Norman Jackson. I grew up my adult life right there next to Hopkins Park. My son, I taught him to swim at Hopkins School. but there's some breakdown in communication and accountability. No one is going to tell me that this pool has been leaking for 5 or 7 years, and the staff or no one has been held accountable to report how to fix this pool. And when it's time for the pool to be open, they're telling the children that they can't use the pool is closed. Someone knew about it, the staff or members of the Recreation Commission or county council. Then you have to identify the funds, where the funds are coming from. If the staff knew and didn't report it, then they should be held accountable. If they reported to the Recreation Commission members and they didn't do anything about it, or didn't ask or put it in the budget at county council, then they should be held accountable. If it went to county council and the council member did not attempt to put it in the budget to get funds to fix the pool, then the council member is accountable. The funding for the Recreation Commission comes from county council. If the legislature's delegation can get money to the Recreation Commission and build a pool or repair the pool, that's where the money comes from. No, you're asking for money. It's simple, right? The council member, first of all, the Recreation Commission should come up with a budget to fix the pool or replace the pool. Eastover pool was, I think, $1.2 million. This pool should be $5 million, maybe $1.2 million also, right? With an office, changing room and everything. Updated. This pool has been here for what, 60 years? Or 40 years? And it has been just left because it's in the woods, it's in Hopkins, right? We don't care about Hopkins. But other places can get pools. My thing is that, where is the money coming from? Who's going to request the money? Has the Recreation Commission come up with a budget to fix or replace the pool? Have they made the recommendation to county council to get the money to do it? Those are the steps. But somebody should be held accountable for this pool being like that and being closed when other pools are being built and open. And Lower Richland, Hopkins has been getting the same bad deal all these years. I've been living here 46 years, right here, 25 years, right next to the park. And it's time that we be treated right. Right? The Recreation Commission is appointed by the legislative delegation, but county council does the funding. Right? So you just have to know who to ask for the fund, who to pressure if you have to pressure to say, look, put it in your budget, right, and fix Hopkins. That's all I'm saying. That's accountability. Hold them accountable. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So I want to ask you to make sure that you continue this process. We don't want to come down here, hear these grievances, and not get a chance to finish this process so that we can make sure that we get through with this, get to the next step, and figure out what's next to get a pool repaired and then a new pool for this area. So please do not shut this process down without us completing this process and moving to the next level. I implore you to make sure we do that tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. I believe that's all the questions and concerns for tonight that I've seen. I do want to make sure that we are moving forward. Mr. Reese, we will not shut the process down. George and SSOE have provided pens. If you look to your right, my left, back there you have Ms. LaSange Walker, who is our athletics coordinator or superintendent, I believe. She will be able to give you a pen. You'll be able to take a pen or a dot and be able to put it on each level of what you would like to see at the pool. Also, as I stated earlier, there is paper and pen in the back where you can write down what you would like to see, put it inside of that box. SSOE, which is George and Adrian behind us, they will make sure that they get all the information to us so that we can move forward with getting the pool. As you leave tonight, you will see that there are some refreshments back there. Mr. Ira Thomas and Mr. Kevin, they so effortlessly cook for us so that we can have refreshments. So we want to thank our RC staff and everyone that came out tonight to be a part of this process. We do want you to make sure that you get a sticker from Ms. Walker and that you put what you would like to see at that pool so that we can get a design done and we can continue the process to move forward towards getting approved. I appreciate everyone. Once again, I appreciate everyone that spoke tonight. But these are the steps that we have to take so that we can move in that direction. George, do you have anything you would like to say? Director? Okay. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Lindsay, our vice chair lady, and then we can move from there. I will be here. I don't know whether the other commissioners will be here after everything is concluded, but I will be here if you would like to speak to me or ask any questions. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Hamilton. This concludes our meeting, and thank you all for coming.